Good morning, everyone, on what looks to be the beginning of another productive and beautiful Monday morning the Lord has given us. I hope, of course, this finds you well, looking in anticipation toward a great week, living your very best life in Jesus Christ. Well, I suppose for the rest of my life that at this time of year I'm going to wax nostalgic about my time as a teacher. And with school starting this next week, I'm reminded of a conversation I had with a high school graduate a few years ago that was pondering her future path and was, to put it mildly, at a standstill as to where to go from here in her young life. She had been blessed with many, many wonderful things. She had been blessed to have been able to acquire acceptance in several colleges, and she had the option of choosing any number of programs and path. This young lady was a high achiever by nature, had worked hard and made sure that she was prepared for whichever path she chose. And she was and is quite meticulous by nature, which was, I think, the root of her dilemma. See, she didn't want to just make a good choice or a great choice or the prudent choice or the easy choice or whatever. No, no, no. She insisted on wanting to make the perfect choice. And we talked quite extensively as she went over each possible choice. We weighed all of the pros and cons until finally she said to me, very exasperated, "I don't want to waste my time working on something I'll hate or that I might hate in 10 years. And I certainly don't want to waste my talents on something that is just going to make my life miserable." So I gently asked her this question: "What's holding you up from making a decision?" She paused and said, "Fear, I suppose." Smart girl. On survey after survey, when people are asked, what do you think is the biggest reason that people struggle to make decisions, overwhelmingly the answer is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of getting hurt, fear of what others will think, fear of rejection, fear of missing out on something better, fear of making the wrong decision and wasting time, or fear of facing unpleasant consequences. I absolutely understand all these fears, as I'm sure you do. I wrestle with them all the time. And sometimes wrestling with fear is good. It keeps us from making poor choices. For example, Landry's fear of being grounded from games and TV is often the only thing that helps him make good choices, to be polite and obedient and so forth. That kind of wrestling with fear is good, but then other times we can still feel like we're wrestling with fear to the point where we're paralyzed from moving forward. We, like my young friend, often get what I like to call analysis paralysis, trying to figure out which choice is the perfect decision. And if we can't discern the perfect choice, we often feel paralyzed. I will admit that this has happened to me on more than one occasion. Here's the thing that keeps me from getting totally stuck, though, when this happens. And that is this: outside of accepting Christ, there is no such thing as the perfect decision. Perfection is an illusion. Except for Christ and His grace and His love, except for God, there is no perfect. Are there good choices and bad choices? Well, yes, of course. But at this point in my life, I'm not getting tripped up as much by good versus bad decisions. No, more often now I find myself stuck between a good choice and another good choice. And then I have to beat myself up trying to figure out which one is perfect. I mean, should I teach on Psalms or Ephesians for Bible study? Or perhaps do a topical approach? Should our church plan a revival or maybe another church outing? It's kind of like asking what I should have for dinner, filet mignon or T-bone. I mean, both are great choices, but which is better? Which is perfect? If you ponder that very long, you can starve trying to figure it out. These good decisions happen every day, but here's the secret answer you must know when trying to pick the perfect choice. There is no choice that will turn out perfect in every way. However, the Bible assures us that as long as you desire to work to please God with your decisions, no decisions you make will be completely awful. Because even if it goes south, God has your back and He will work for your best in it. I mean, we all love that scripture, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. This makes it very clear that every decision we make is a package deal. In other words, since there's no perfect choice, we don't have to be paralyzed by the fear that we're not making the exact right decision. When I asked my young charge what she thought would be the perfect choice for her faith and would bring her closer to the Lord, she pondered, she prayed, and then she chose that path. And frankly, now, a couple of years later, she seems to be happily on her way to a wonderful career. And according to her, she has more strength in the Lord than she ever had. See, I want to please God with every decision. I mean, we just read in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, and that promises that He will make our path straight if we acknowledge Him in all we do. So I also want to demonstrate my trust in Him by just actually making a decision and having made peace with the fact that it won't all be perfect. There's no perfect job. There's no perfect school. There's no perfect spouse. There's no perfect church. I hate to tell you all that. There's no perfect way to raise your kids. There are no perfect decisions. Each choice you make will have just enough imperfections to make them some combination of good and not so good. So here's where the certainty is. Our imperfections will never override God's promises. God's promises are not dependent on our ability to always choose well, but rather on His ability to use well. I want to be used by the Lord, and that I know is a very, very good decision. I hope you make today a wonderful day. I hope that it's a fantastic week. I want you to know that I'm certainly here if you need me, and I truly love you all.